الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء وخاتم المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا بالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين واللعنة الدائمة الباقية على أعدائهم من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: كلا بل تحبون العاجلة وتذرون الآخرة. صلوات Being the last session of the month of Ramadan that I have with you tonight, it's indeed a pleasure to come here to the Masumeen. The only request I'll make the announcements shorter and shorter. Or just leave it on the screen. During iftar time, people can read it and they will know more about it. Salawat. Alhamdulillah, we had the opportunity to go through the tafsir of Surah Al-Qiyamah, which is a surah which deals with the issue of Qiyamah, of course. And I would like to connect one ayat from that to the words of wisdom from Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam. He is one of those Imam who have been appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide the people. The purpose of Imams, according to the ayat that we have from Surah Al-Sajdah, although it comes in a historical context, but the theme is universal, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا, that from among the people, if there are some, we have appointed them as Imams and leaders. يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا, their purpose is to guide the people according to our command. لَمَّا صَبَرُوا وَكَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا يُوقِنُونَ. And so the issue of Hidayat bil Amr, to guide people according to the Amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the fundamental purpose of the Imams. Imams in the form of Nabi or Rasul or the Khalifa of our Prophet. And this is where we see that imamat for us, after the last Nabi, the designation changes, the institution changes, Nubuwwat comes to the end, imamat starts in that way. But this is continuing link of the Hidayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the words of my teacher, Ayatollah Wahid Khurasani, he puts this very beautifully. He says that if you look at the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it is summarized, it is known as the Quran. When that message of Allah expands, it is known as the Hadith of the Ma'asumeen. And that is why, the Prophet said, Inni tarikum fikum as-saqalain, I'm leaving two precious things among you. Kitab Allah wa itrati ahlu bayti, the book of Allah and my family. As long as you hold on fast to them, with them, you will never go astray. And so, keeping in that in mind, let me, I've chosen a statement from our second Imam, being his Wiladat, from the ayat that we have in Surah Al-Qiyamah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while explaining the motivations of those who deny Qiyamat, one of the things he says, بَلْ تُحِبُّونَ الْعَاجِلَةِ, the reason why you want to deny Qiyamat and the Day of Judgment is because you love this dunya. It is the love of this dunya which actually makes you forget the akhirah. It's very interesting that during on the last day of the life of the second Imam, a companion of his by the name of Junada bin Abi Umayyah came to do the ayadat, to visit the Imam because he was not feeling well because of the poisoning by Muawiyah. And when he came to see the Imam, and he talks about, what I saw and the scene, but even in that state, he asked Imam for advice. Normally if you go to ayadat of a marid, you want to be very brief and not put any extra burden on the person that you are visiting. But he was not an ordinary person. And this advice that Imam then gives to Junada is actually, I would say, this is comparable to the words of Amirul Mu'mineen that he gave between the Zarbat and the Shahadat. There is a wasiyat he has for his family members and for the Shias, and he says, and all those to whom this writing of mine reaches, means even centuries after me, when it reaches to you, this is a message for you. So that message of Amir al-Mu'mineen and this message of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba, importance-wise, because of the timing, are on the same level. And when he asked the Imam, he said, "Idhni ibn Rasulillah, do maw'idha, advise me, O son of the Prophet." Imam said, yes. And it's interesting that these things he said is, in a way, this is the summary of the message of Surah Al-Qiyamah. Although he doesn't quote even one ayat from Surah Al-Qiyamah, but the themes that we have seen in that surah would be reinforced here. Number one, and I'm going very quick because of the time restraint here. Number one, استعد لسفرك وحصل زادك قبل حلول أجلك. Prepare for your journey to the barzakh and your journey to the hereafter. وحصل زادك, and acquire whatever provision you need for your journey, because when you go to the journey, you pick up everything that you need in that journey. And that is known as Zad, Zadara, as we call it in Urdu or Farsi. And so Imam says, be prepared for the journey and acquire the provision that you want, قبل حلول أجلك, before the death comes to you. وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّكَ تَطْلُبُ الدُّنْيَا وَالْمَوْتُ يَطْلُبُكَ. You go after the dunya, but you don't realize that there is maut and death coming towards you. And so this is number one, that he is emphasizing, keep death in your mind, and when you keep that, akhirah will be always the focus when you plan your dunya. Number two, he says, وَلَا تَحْمِلْ حَمَّ يَوْمِكَ الَّذِي لَمْ يَأْتِ عَلَى يَوْمِكَ الَّذِي أَنْتَ فِيهِ. Very important for us. We all talk about time management and this and that. This is what it is. This is the secret of time management. He says, do not let the worry of the day which has not yet come take away the opportunity of the day which is right here. So we sit down and say, oh, tomorrow I have to do this and that. Or sometimes we say, well, tomorrow is there, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, I'll do next month, or I'll do it next year. Imam is saying, don't let the present go to waste. Maximize the time that you have. What you have today, there is no guarantee for tomorrow. There is no guarantee for next week or next month or next year. Therefore, do not, plan for something which is uncertain, and while you will be, not using the opportunity which is there for you now and today. Number three, وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّكَ لَا تَكْسِبُ مِنَ الْمَالِ شَيْئًا فَوْقَ قُوتِكَ إِلَّا كُنْتَ فِيهِ خَاضِلًا لِغَيْرِكَ. Imam says, whatever you acquire in this dunya, the money and the wealth that you accumulate, remember, whatever you accumulate more than your own need, you are actually a guardian for the wealth of somebody who will get it after you. So why you are worrying about somebody else that much? And I don't mean to say don't plan for your family. No. Islam doesn't forbid that, but not to the extent that we forget the barzakh and the akhirah. And then Imam says, وَاعْلَمْ, number four, وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ فِي حَلَالِهَا حِسَابٌ وَفِي حَرَامِهَا إِقَابٌ وَفِي الشُّبَهَاتِ عِتَابٌ. Remember, when you acquire the wealth, if it becomes more and more, you get into all different more problems. Remember one thing, that in whatever you acquire halal, you still have to give account of it on the Day of Judgment. How you earned it, how you spent it. And if it is haram, then there is a punishment at the end. وَفِي الشُّبَهَاتِ, and if it is something, unclear, uncertain, in between, you are not clear about it, it's not black and white, what you have earned, then you will still be blamed for it. And so then Imam comes to a point which I had even mentioned in one of the tafsir of that ayat number 20 of that surah. فَأَنزِلِ الدُّنْيَا بِمَنْزِلَةِ الْمَيْتَةِ. Imam Hasan Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam, he says, consider this dunya. When we say dunya, remember the general perception that we have in Islam and the maktab of Ahlul Bayt. We are not saying this is bad. It is how we handle dunya, that is the main thing. And Imam says, consider this dunya, mal dunya, to be mayta. Mayta from mayyit. Referring to, for example, an animal which died by itself or was slaughtered by in a non-Islamic manner. We call it mayta. And it's haram for us to eat that. And Imam says, consider this dunya to be mayta, khudh minha ma yakfika. Only take from it whatever is sufficient for your survival. And before that, let me just explain what the Imam is referring to when he says mayta. In Surah Baqarah, ayat number 173, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about things which are haram. And he says, إِنَّمَا حَرَّمَ عَلَيْكُمْ الْمَيْتَ وَالدَّمْ وَلَحْمَ الْخِنْزِيرِ. It is haram for you, number one, dead animal, or the one which dies by itself or by non-Islamic manner, and blood, and the flesh of swine, وَمَا أُحِلَّ بِهِ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ, and an animal which was slaughtered by uttering the name of other than Allah. So if somebody is slaughtering an animal dedicating to an idol, that is also haram for us. فَمَنِ اسْتُرَّ. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes an exception. He says, but the person who is compelled in an emergency situation, if his survival depends on eating that haram, whether it is pork or it is an animal slaughtered for an idol, or an animal which is mayta, Allah says, فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ. Somebody who is compelled, if it is a matter of dying or eating haram, both are a problem. And Islam says, well, your life is more important than that haram food. So there Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whoever is in istirar and compulsion in an emergency situation, غَيْرَ بَاغٍ وَلَا عَادٍ, who doesn't eat this because he wants to disobey Allah, because he's compelled, then he's okay. وَلَا عَادٍ, and doesn't do this again and again and again. So the principle here is that these things are haram, but if you find yourself in an emergency situation of life and death situation, then you have to save your life even by eating haram, but to the extent where you will be able to survive, not as a full meal. This is what it means, غَيْرَ بَاغٍ وَلَا عَادٍ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, in that situation there is no sin on that person. إِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. He is forgiving and merciful. Remember in 1972, those who were born at the time, before that maybe, in 1972 there was an aircraft taking a rugby team in South America, and it crashed on the top of one of the mountains there on the border of Chile, Argentina. It was packed with snow, very cold in that region at that time, and some of them died, some of them survived. However, there was nothing, no greenery there, no animals, nothing. All the food, whatever they had in the plane, after a few days it was finished. What did they do at the end? The 16 people who survived, after a few days they realized, either we will die of hunger or we have these fellow passengers with us who are dead. And they decided to actually eat the meat of those. It was all snow at the time there. And from the Shari'i point of view, this ayat will apply that. فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ, they were compelled because of the emergency situation, only for survival that did that. فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ, there is no sin. This is how the issue of haram or maita is concerned. Now Imam is saying, فَأَنزِلِ الدُّنْيَا بِمَنْزِلَةِ الْمَيْتَةِ, consider this dunya and the mal dunya like maita. It is essentially halal for you, but if you consider it as a maita, you will only use it for your survival. And then you will be careful about the extra. And this is where he says, فَإِنْ كَانَ ذَلِكَ حَلَالًا فَكُنْتَ قَدْ زَحِدْتَ فِيهَا. If it was halal for you, still you refrain from it, abstain from it, you will get more sawab there, because you had the right to eat, but you did not. And then Imam says, وَإِنْ كَانَ حَرَامًا لَمْ يَكُنْ فِيهِ وِذْرٌ. If it was haram, you didn't, because you treated it as maita, and you only ate what was important at that time for your survival, then you will not be punished. وَإِنْ كَانَ الْعِتَابِ فَإِنَّ الْعِتَابِ يَسِيرٌ. Even if there is any blame there, it will be much lenient when it comes to the day of Qiyamah. Salawat पढ़ने के बाद. It's interesting that he's emphasizing on this whole issue of how do we relate dunya to the akhirah. One of the statement, this is from his statement of Imam Hasan al-Mushtaba, but we have seen that also in the sayings of Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam. So this is a ongoing theme that the Imams have about how do you balance the dunya with akhirah. A very powerful statement and a challenging statement. He says then to this fellow, وَعْمَلْ لِدُنْيَاكَ كَعَنَّكَ تَعِيشُ عَبَدًا. When it comes to your worldly work, whatever profession you are, your trade, your business, your expertise, put your full effort and your heart into it, as if you are going to live forever. So when you are doing your dunyavi activity, do it in such a way that as if there is no end to this dunya. وَعَمَلْ لِآخِرَتِكَ, but work for your akhirah كَأَنَّكَ تَمُوتُ غَدًا, as if you are going to die tomorrow. If you are able to balance that, then you are on the path of salvation. You will be among the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so you put your effort here, but always keep the akhirah in your mind, that I am only doing this to fulfill my obligations here, the way Allah has allowed me to do, but I'm using whatever I have in order to build my akhirah, because it is in this dunya that we have the opportunity to build the akhirah. We will not be able to build anything there. In one of the scenes from Mi'raj, when the Prophet was there, he saw at a place that there were some malaika building a house. They would put some bricks and then they'll stop. And Rasulullah asked them, why are they stopping? There's no concept of coffee break for them there, for the malaika. Or that, they ran out of raw material, or the supply of bricks was not there. Yes, the supply was not there. The malaika were waiting. They say, this fellow who has done good deeds, this is the amount of what he has done. We are waiting. The more he sends to us, the more we will build. So you can't build anything in the akhirah. Whatever you want to build in the akhirah, you will have to provide the raw material from this dunya. Salawat. The last statement from him, and I'm leaving the final one for some other time, which is nothing to do about the dunya. It is more about the issue of, how do we get honor and dignity in our life? Izzat, as we call it. And Imam says to Junada, إذا أردت عزا بلا عشيرة وهيبة بلا سلطان. How do people get honor and respect and dignity in society? Either they come from the ashira, or a family of a good background, or a tribe of a good background, and because of that family relationship, people also respect that individual. Or when it comes to haybat, respect by the people. If you are in a position of power and authority, people respect you because of that. Now Imam is saying to Junada, if you are looking for dignity and honor, and you are looking for respect without basing that on your family background or on your power and authority in the society, فَخْرُجْ مِنْ ظُلِّ مَعَصِيَّةِ اللَّهِ إِلَىٰ عِزِّ طَاعَةِ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. Then remove yourself from the disgrace of disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and come into the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is where you get izzat, and Allah also creates this sense of respect and honor and dignity in the hearts of the people for a fellow who is among the obeying servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salawat pranay para Allah. What did Muawiyah not have? He got the khilafat and the government. He got the wealth. He had the army. Whatever you think about as far as the basis of honor, dignity, and power is concerned, and respect in dunya, it's there. But look at his situation. Till now, in spite of being everything, having ruled for a long, long time in the Muslim empire, still you will see, even till our days, there are many, many Sunni ulama who will openly criticize Muawiyah for his misdeeds. Sufis and non-Sufis alike. And this is where we see that, and those who actually praise him and honor him are mostly the outsiders. There was a Salafi writer from Egypt in 30s and 40s by the name of Sayyid Muhammad Rashid Riza. He was a Sayyid, but a Salafi Wahhabi. A student of Sheikh Muhammad Abdu. He had a tafsir, and there in one of these books he says one day there was a gathering here, and an Orientalist came from Europe to give a talk about Islam. And he said something very amazing. For him, it was very amazing. He said, Muawiyah has served Europe in such a way that it is deserving for him that his statue be erected in this main square of Berlin. Why? Because if it hadn't been for Muawiyah, Europe would have turned into Islam. So they are actually giving credit of Islam not reaching to Europe because of Muawiyah. So they salute him for that. So, he had everything. But when you look at the Muslims who came later on, of course the Wahhabis, like him. But you have many, many Sunni scholars in every generation, including now, who openly criticize Muawiyah. Why? Because he was in this dhul ma'asiyatillah. He lived a life of disgrace in disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the other side, you look at Imam Hasan Mushtaba alayhi salatu wasalam. What did they do? They brought about circumstances that Imam, in order to prevent further bloodshed among the ummah, gave up power. So he gave away power and wealth and whatever it was. But when it comes to the izzah, honor and dignity, even now, Sahih Bukhari, with all his problems with Ahlul Bayt, when he writes the names of Ahl Kisa, he always says alayhi salam with their name, including the name of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba. When it comes to the names of others, including the Khulafa, he never uses the word alayhi salam. He would say radiyallahu anhu. And this is where we see that when Allah gives izzat, honor and dignity to someone, it is everlasting. People can do whatever they want. They can use whatever money and power they have, but they will never be able to put off the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salawat padhne ek baar aur. And that is the example of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam. امام کے حکیمانہ جو باتیں تھیں خصوصاً بالکل آخری دن جو امام نے جنازہ کے سامنے پیش کی ہیں، انہی کے ابتدائی بلکہ اکثر و بیشتر جو حصہ ہے اس کو ہم نے آپ کے سامنے پیش کیا ہے، صرف لاسٹ سیکشن کو چھوڑ دیا ہے انشاءاللہ کسی اور موقع پر. لیکن امام نے یہ جو عنوان پیش کیا ہے کہ دنیا کو اس طرح سے سمجھو کہ جب یوز کرنا ہے تو اس سے اپنی آخرت بناؤ. امام اپنے جود و سخا میں بہت ہی مشہور تھے، اور صرف ایک دو مثال ہم دینا چاہیں گے. علی بن جزعان کی یہ روایت ہے کہ امام حسن نے اپنی زندگی میں 2 بار اپنے تمام اثاثہ اور مال دنیا کو فقراء اور مساکین میں تقسیم کر دیا. The entire wealth, whatever he had, twice, 100% انہوں نے دے دیا. اور 3 بار اس کے علاوہ 3 بار اپنے پورے مال دنیا کو 2 حصوں میں تقسیم کرتے ہیں. ایک فقراء اور مساکین کو دے دیتے ہیں، ادر ہاف جو ہیں اپنے ضرورت کے لیے رکھتے ہیں. اور یہ در حقیقت اس عنوان سے ہے کہ جس طرح سے امام سے کسی نے پوچھا تھا کہ مولا یہ موت کے خوف کو کس طرح سے دل سے ہم ختم کریں، تو امام نے کہا کہ تمہارا مال جو ہے اگر تم آگے بھیج دیتے ہو then you will be longing to go and get your thing over there. لیکن اگر تیاری نہیں کی ہے، کچھ نہیں ہے وہاں، تو انسان پھر موت کے مرحلے سے گزرتے ہوئے ڈرتا ہے کہ اس کے بعد پھر کیا ہوگا. لیکن اگر تیاری کر کے اپنا مال اور اثاثہ بھیج دیا ہے آگے، تو انسان جو ہے پھر تیار رہتا ہے کہ ہمیں اپنے نئے مکان میں جانا ہے، نئے گھر میں پہنچنا ہے. پھر اس کے لیے موت کا مرحلہ جو ہے خوفناک نہیں ہوتا ہے، دردناک نہیں ہوتا ہے، اور آسان ہو جاتا ہے. صلوات پڑھنے ایک بار اور. بس ایک اور آخری مثال کہ امام ایک بار گزر ہوا، اپنے گھوڑے پر سوار تھے، کچھ فقراء اور مساکین بیٹھے ہوئے تھے، سوکھی روٹیاں اور جو بھی ان کے پاس تھی دسترخوان پر کھا رہے تھے. دیکھا ان لوگوں نے کہ نواس رسول گزر رہے ہیں. حلم یبنا بنت رسول اللہ الی الغداء، کہ اے بنت رسول کے فرزند آئیے ہمارے ساتھ روٹی تناول کریں. امام فرماتے ہیں کہ ہمیں قرآن کی وہ آیت یاد آئے، ان اللہ لا یحب المستکبرین. خدا جو مستکبرین ہوتے ہیں، جو کبر اور غرور سے کام لیتے ہیں، ان کو پسند نہیں کرتا ہے. یہ غریب و مسکین ہے، مجھے دعوت دے رہے ہیں، مجھے ان کی دعوت کو قبول کرنا چاہیے. اترتے ہیں گھوڑے سے، بیٹھ جاتے ہیں اور ان کے ساتھ کھانا شروع کرتے ہیں. سب جو ہے ایک لحاظ سے سیر ہو گئے جتنا کھانا تھا، لیکن وزاد علی حالہ ببرکتہ. لیکن کھانا جو پہلے تھا امام حسن کے آتے وقت آخر تک اتنا ہی رہا. یہ امام کے خود حضور کی جو برکت ہے، ان کا ایک جگہ موجود رہنا خود جو ہے بہت ہی عظیم بات ہے. یہ ولایت تکوینی کا ایک مظہر ہوتا ہے کہ لوگ کھاتے رہے لیکن کھانا ویسے ہی کہ ویسے رہا. دعوت ذوالشیرہ میں بھی یہ ہوا تھا. رسول اللہ نے امیر المومنین کو مینیو بھی بتایا تھا اور مقدار بھی بتائی تھی. لوگ زیادہ تھے, کھایا سب نے, لیکن کھانا ویسے ہی کہ رہا پتیلے میں جو ہے. تو یہ بہرحال یہ برکات ہے جو خداوند عالم نے ان کو دیا ہے. اور اس کے بعد امام حسن مجتبیٰ جو ہے اٹھتے ہیں, کہتے ہیں ہم نے تمہاری دعوت کو قبول کیا ہے, اب تمہاری ذمہ داری ہے کہ تم بھی میری دعوت کو قبول کرو. اپنے ساتھ اپنے گھر لے جاتے ہیں, اور جو کھانا بیچارے عام طور سے نہیں کھا سکتے تھے وہ پیش کیا, اور اس کے بعد ان کو کپڑا بھی دیا اور روانہ کرتے ہیں. یہ جو دعا ہم پڑھتے ہیں اللہم اغز کل فقیر اور وکس کل عریان, یہ در حقیقت عملی مثال ہیں امام حسن مجتبیٰ علیہ السلام کے خیرات و صدقات کی. خداوندہ ہم لوگوں کی توفیقات میں اضافہ فرمائے, ہمیں ہمیشہ محمد و آل محمد کے شیعوں میں قرار دے, امام کے ظہور میں تعاجل فرما. ربنا تقبل منا انک انت السمیع العلیم.